All right, we are live. So we are in our 9th iteration of our webinar. Today we're focusing on international again, and joined by two pretty special guys that I'm sure you guys know. So as everyone is logging in here, just a couple of notes. Obviously, you'll want to be on gallery view. Up in the top, if you click on gallery view, you'll be able to see all three of us at one time, so the screens won't bounce back and forth. Our chat box is open. So I see tons of people. Well, Brian Wright and I used to work together at Kennedy Space Center back in the day, and I haven't seen him since all of the travel has stopped. So Brian, I hope you're doing well out in and everything's going well for you. But in the chat box, make sure that you let us know, tell us hello, tell us what's going on. This is, as you guys know, I see many names, Carolyn coming back again, many names that have been here every week with us. Thank you for coming back every week and let us know how you're doing. As everyone is logging in here, in addition to staying on gallery view so you can see all of us, I'll just remind you that chat box is open. Let us know how you're doing. And Q&A down at the bottom. If you have a question that you want to type out to us, add it into the Q&A and we will get to it during the conversation. Estella from Fort Worth. She's been on all of the calls too. Love you, Estella. Thanks for coming back. So we've had a pretty intense conversation yesterday getting ready for the webinar, and this morning, 15 minutes ago when we logged in early, talking about safe and clean measures and doing jobs that we weren't normally doing before. So I think we're going to have a great conversation today about international and how things have changed and what we can expect in the future. That number just keeps ticking up. It's like my favorite thing in the world to see the number just keep going up. Little things make me happy. What can I say? I think right now we take what we can get though, right, Wolfgang?
Yeah, I see a lot of people coming by in the chat. It's fun to see.
There's a lot of people I recognize as well.
I know, you're getting some shout outs.
Yeah.
No pressure, don't say anything silly.
Normally they yell at me, so this actually is a change.
But I only see hello, so that's easy for us.
And Gray from Alabama, good to see you back, my friend.
Yep.
Love it. All right. Well, I am, as always, we're going to be in a very conversational format. We want to, Gabriel from Fort Lauderdale's back again. Hey, Gabe. This is your time. This is the best way that we could figure out how to do a virtual roundtable to talk with our clients and our colleagues and figure out how we move forward with this together. For those of you that are new, my name is Sherry Bailey. I'm the Vice President at Connect Travel, and we created these a couple months ago just as a way that we could stay engaged with each other and with our industry. And these don't work without sponsorship. So Betsy Cooper from Tour Operator Land, thank you very much for sponsoring all of our webinars. We appreciate it. And we are joined today by two names that I don't have to introduce these guys because you know them, but I'm going to take my shot at it anyway. Elvi is the Vice President of Product from TravelBrands up in Canada. We know you and love you, and thank you for being here, Elvi. We appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure.
Hendrix. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So thanks very much for the invite. It's a real honor to be part of this, so thank you.
I appreciate it so much. And Wolfgang Hendrix, anyone that works with the Netherlands works with Wolfgang. So from US Travel in the Netherlands, the CEO, Wolfgang, thank you so much for being with us and giving us a perspective from Holland. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much for the invitation. and I like to be here. I like to be in this
And it's
webinar.
evening for you. So we're cutting into your dinner time. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we already eat, so no problem.
Awesome. Well, as we always start out, you know, it's interesting that there's been so much shifting and movement within the industry. A lot of our colleagues and friends have been furloughed or laid off. And we have individuals in roles that maybe they haven't done before. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from someone that says, hey, you know, I've never done this before, but I'm now handling international. What kind of tips can you give me? So let's start out with some introductions of maybe what your company does, what markets you focus on, and how things are going for you right now. So Wolfgang, let's start with you.
Okay, we are a tour operator in Holland, and our markets are USA and Canada. And yeah, it's not the best time to be a tour operator. It's better to have a grocery shop or something like this in this period. They make a lot of more money than we do. But yeah, till the beginning of March, it's going well. We sell a lot and we are growing, and the United States and Canada is more and more popular. So we were very satisfied about things, how they are going. After that, of course, everybody knows things are going down. And from half of March till now, we didn't make any new reservation. The only thing we are doing is to change the existing reservations to next year and helping people who don't want to go on holiday anymore. And yeah, that's what we're doing now for 2-3 months. And I'm a little bit afraid it will continue for some months. And then our hope is that 2021 will be a better year.
I think we all are hoping that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Elvi, tell us a little bit about you.
So, I mean, I work for TravelBrands, which is the wholesale arm of Red Label Vacations. We are owned by HIS in Japan. That happened just over a year ago, January of 2019. So a year and a half now, owned by Japanese, fairly big Japanese conglomerate. So TravelBrands is the wholesale arm, and we sell cruising, we sell air only. We sell, you know, most of the U.S., Mexico, Caribbean, Europe as well. We have exotic division, which does Africa, Asia, does the South Pacific. We also have our retail arm, which is Red Tag Vacations and iTravel and Travel Experts. Between the three of them, we're number 2 after Expedia, a long way after Expedia in terms of the OTA space in Canada. But they're strictly B2C. They sell to consumers. And so that's kind of part of our division as well. So we really have a wholesale and a retail arm, which, you know, obviously is very good for us. You know, we kind of have a little bit of everything, our foot in multiple different areas as well.
So I have to imagine that's probably helping you having, you know, all of your eggs distributed to mini baskets right now, rather than just in one.
Yeah, although nothing is selling. I mean, looking at the numbers every morning, and it's pretty depressing, as Wolfgang said. You know, a lot of cancellations, but very little bookings. So it's a challenge.
So Wolfgang, you touched on the cancellations and rescheduling. So you've been able to reschedule people to 2021, and
Yep.
do you have anything on the books for 2020? People just pushing further down in the calendar year?
No, it's yeah. We do a lot of people who go on their summer holiday, so it's all or it is the summer, or it will be because they go for 3 weeks at a minimum most of time of 3 weeks. So they're moving their holiday 1 year. That's what they are doing. So it's not easy for them to go in September, October, or later that year.
Got it.
Of course, we have bookings for that period, but still, it's a challenge at this moment because we are not quite sure if everything is open or if the country is open, if you can traveling easy. We cannot confirm that answers, and if you cannot confirm them, then it's hard to sell.
I'm going to come back to that because everyone on our call wants to know how they can help both of you. So we're going to come back
Okay,
to that statement on exactly what they can get you to help.
sounds good.
Elvi, same thing. Are you successful in moving people into 2021, or are they asking for refunds? That's a big question that we've gotten: refunds versus rescheduling.
Yeah, I mean, it's originally with the airlines, none of the airlines are offering refunds, so that's a big challenge. And when a big portion of our business is air only and also packages, it's very, very difficult to extend refunds to clients because we're taking obviously the airline's route and offering future travel vouchers as well. On the cruise side, the cruise industry has been very, very good at giving people up to 2 years to rebook a cruise. So that's obviously helping. Where we can refund, we will. I know if it's land only, we do quite a bit of land only as well. And knowing that all the hotels pretty much in the US, Mexico, and the Caribbean have been very, very good at offering 100% refund because of obviously COVID and force majeure. So where we can, we are looking at refunding clients. So at least we put money back in their pocket, and ideally, when they decide to travel again, they'll remember that and rebook with us. Yeah, a lot of future travel vouchers, especially on the airline side. So that's a challenge on how when we book people for the future, for sure.
So a lot of conversations have been around consumer sentiment, when they feel safe, and rebooking goes hand in hand with that. How do we make customers feel safe in their travel? And I know that all of us right now are looking at safe and clean measures from, a property standpoint to an attraction standpoint. We're looking at it from a show standpoint. Are there any specifics that you're putting in place for your company? Elvi?
Yeah, I mean, we have an exec meeting 3 times a week now through Teams, and one of the issues is health and safety. Being a kind of foreign corporation now under Japan on the stock exchange, we're very kind of concerned, and we acknowledge that that's part of our responsibility as a travel company from a wholesale perspective, but also from a retail perspective for the consumer. And so one of my jobs and the team that I've pushed to ask suppliers and hotel partners is what are they doing for their health and safety? Because we want to create a chart for the consumer and for travel agents to know, to say, okay, XYZ hotel is putting all these measures into place to make them feel comfortable in traveling again. And I mean, there's a lot of videos out there, and you and I were talking prior to us going live. Marriott has come up with a video. Hilton's come up with a video. Palace Resorts has come up with a very extensive video on what they're doing for the health and safety. So there's a lot of great things happening out there, and I think consumers are going to need that, to rest assured and so on. And even the airlines, what are they doing to help? And I've read a lot of with this, eliminate the middle seat, putting up plastic barriers, ultraviolet light, trying to disinfect everything, when the plane's, on the changeover. So there's a lot of, initiatives being put in place. The concern that I have is what ultimately that cost is going to be to the consumer. Because after 9/11, we saw all these fees come in on security checkpoints and fees and so on. And then now with all these protocols being put into place, not only on the hotel side, but on the tour operator, on the airline side and the cruise side, what ultimately is that going to do to the cost of a vacation? Because someone's got to pay for these. Hotels aren't doing it for free. Airlines aren't going to do it for free. They're going to find something to charge. So is there going to be now a health and safety fee, cleaning fee on an airline ticket? Baggage check-in, what are they going to do there when they handle the bags under the belly? Is there, they're going to disinfect all the bags now as well, and what the cost is if that's going to be, passed on to the consumer. So there's a lot of great things that are going to happen with this, and but ultimately, what is the ultimate cost to the consumer to travel when this does happen?
I think that, certainly remains to be seen. Wolfgang, are you seeing the same thing, or are you putting in place certain measures for your trips moving in 21?
Now it's going to be more expensive, that's for sure. That's just a matter of time, and on the end, somebody has to pay it, and there's nothing like a free ride. What you are saying, so I think that clients will don't bother to pay a little extra for safety. I believe I'm sure about that, and the difference, of course, from our company is when people travel, like people with 4 or 6 people are going for 3 weeks to the United States or Canada for a trip. They pay $9,000-10,000. Okay, then if it's 5% more money because all the extra things are for the security, then they will pay that. But that's different if, of course, your inbound market where people, when they go just for a weekend or just for 1 day, then it's much more expensive every time. So on the end, it will cost more money. That's for sure. And the solution, of course, is in the future when there is a vaccine for this. On the other hand, I'm not quite sure. People are a little bit afraid because what's happening now can happen again in 2 years. I mean, there's no law that say that doesn't happen anymore.
Unfortunately not. So the prices are going to go up, and you mentioned 9/11 and some of the security fees. One thing we also saw after 9/11 or oil spills or hurricanes, anything that has happened on a smaller scale, certainly not globally, consumers became pretty savvy. They were looking for the best deal. They were looking for enticements on what they could do. If prices are going to go up someplace else, are you looking at ways to bring other costs down or enticements that's going to get someone to book with you and maybe not your competitor? And if so, what are those? What could all of the attendees do to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to that?
Yeah, of course they can. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Wolfgang, you go ahead, and then we'll come back to Elvi.
No. Yeah, of course. It's important that I think it's important that the market will not be a price market after this. That everybody, if you're selling a product, doesn't matter what it is, then keep the quality of the product on a certain level, and don't make the price the factor of on the end, because I think then on the end more and more companies will get bankrupt. It's not what. I'm not quite sure if the consumer asks for it. Most of the time they offer it to the consumers and they use it, but that's something different.
Right. I love that you said that, and and that was something that was said in one of our previous webinars, was maintain the integrity of your product.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But there's no doubt that they're going to get to choose, what that is.
And if there are too many, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, if there are too many of the same product, then some of them have to think about something else. But that's not the American.
From that conversation, or from that statement, we're going to talk about unique offerings and are you changing your products at all? But Elvi, I'd love you to comment on any type of enticement, especially being at a retail level.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Canada and Mexico Caribbean, it's been a charter market. And the frustration here is that price is always king. And then people were booking last minute for $7.99, $8.99 for a 7-night, all-inclusive vacation. And that was the trend. And I think also trend in the UK as well, that kind of sentiment. And I think this is really going to change the way people are going to travel. This will set us back 4 or 5 years for sure. There's going to be less flying going on. I mean, I'm hearing, a lot of the big airlines are parking their big birds, and they're going with much smaller aircrafts, because then they could obviously sustain and be a lot more profitable. So just by that, having less people on a flight, hotels have to also minimize. They can't, 1,000-room hotel or 2,000-room hotel in Vegas is now going to be probably half of that because of, social distancing and and trying to manage the crowds. So, the pricing is going to be higher for sure. I think that's a really good thing in the market to some respect, because I think pricings were getting a little ridiculous in some cases. So this obviously will help the ultimate hotel, airline, and so on. But I think what's going to stand out too is the integrity of brands. Brands that were integral part before, who had good names, a lot of reliability. There's a lot of them out there. They will benefit because a consumer will go to a brand that they recognize, a brand that they feel comfortable with, and they will, pay a little bit more to stay there because they know that for themselves and their families, they got peace of mind, and they're going to be treated well. And I think these brands already starting in the marketplace, you see it happening now, being at the forefront of a lot of new initiatives that's going to happen in the industry. So, I think brand loyalty is going to be a big key going forward.
It's funny that you say that because yesterday we did a marketing webinar that talked all about maintaining your brand in this crazy time. So anyone on the call that wants to learn more about that, our webinars are on demand, and go to our website, ConnectTravel.com. I think it's a / that's what this one is, webinars, and you can watch parts of that brand integrity webinar, which is really interesting conversation that goes into what you were talking about, Elvi. Before I let you off the hook, our friend Kimberly, I haven't seen Kimberly in forever.
I just saw her post too, her question.
Canada for you. When do you think Canadians are going to feel comfortable traveling to the U.S. again? And don't take the easy way out and say when the borders open. And specifically, she wants to know Myrtle Beach when they're gonna travel there. But is there anything in particular for Canadians that's going to grab their attention to travel?
There was a survey done by, I'm reading my notes here, the Association of Canadian Studies. In early May, they had a survey to about 2,000 Canadians about questions on everything from, feeling comfortable COVID and how they feel comfortable with the government and travel and so on. And there's a number of interesting stats. And one of them was that, U.S. travel, and 20% said that they may look at travel in the fall to the U.S. 29% they would look at 2021 for travel, and a whopping 52% said they will not travel to the U.S. unless a vaccine is created. So more than half of the respondents of the survey are not going to travel at all to the U.S. until a vaccine is done. So there's obviously a huge urgency globally to get one done. And I think that will help a lot of people peace of mind when they're traveling for themselves and their families. So, even if the borders are open, I think people just until a vaccine is created, it's not going to happen. I think people are going to stay a lot more in Canada. One of the surveys that we're doing within our own agencies and consumers is that Canadians are going to stay within domestically. I think that is going to resound a lot bigger with Canadians as opposed to travel internationally or to the U.S. Drive market is going to be a very, very big part of the business as well. I think people are going to feel safe in their own vehicles. So they'll be driving around and doing, staycations and driving within the country, or even driving possibly in the U.S. on the border cities. With the car they can drive instead of staying, flying, they may drive, into, Detroit or Buffalo or down to Florida, big drive market out of Canada. So that's, I think, going to be, I think the survey said that 63% of people would consider driving, and then over 60% staying within Canada as well. So, and one of the things that we're doing is, we have a sister company called JohnView, which is inbound into Canada from globally, part of the HIS family, knowing that Canadians will travel domestically. We never had a big domestic program being TravelBrands. Well, now we've taken this COVID time to do a direct connect with our sister company, JohnView. So now we will have a ready-made Canada program that we can start selling to travel agents and to the consumer within Canada. So that's one of the initiatives that we've undertaken the last couple of months during this period.
And, when we've asked we've seen many operators that they've kind of had to pivot and change some of the things they were doing. And looking, I think you've had to look at your typical outbound program and try to decide what you may do differently next year. Have you, traveling closer to home, does that stay true for the Netherlands as well? And are you?
Yeah, I think so. It's not the Netherlands, but it's more like the idea of having your own car with you, that gives you a kind of flexibility, and you can go if it is not safe on the spot. And it's a lot of people are a little bit afraid now of flying, not of the flying on themselves, but being with a lot of people in a small space. And that's what they don't like, and that's I think one of the hard things. Same as what Elvi said, I didn't see any research in Europe, but I'm sure because that a lot of Europeans will not go by plane before they have the vaccine. They're afraid of doing that just to be sure for the maybe not for themselves, but for the family, for the wife, for the kids, so they don't take the risk, even if there is a risk or not. So that will be really a big thing. And I'm afraid from Europe to the States or to Canada, and especially from Holland, it will be next year. It will be, if there is no vaccine, it will be hard. I mean, the people will go there. I'm sure there are always a lot of people who think, okay, I don't care, but it's safe. That's it. But we will not see the numbers which we have seen last year. That's for sure.
So we get, say we get people on planes, and we get them into the U.S. Do you think travel patterns would change? I mean, obviously this year everything's moved later in the year or into next year, but is that going to affect travel patterns? Are they traveling for longer, for shorter? Are they staying in hotels, or are they staying in a self-catering unit?
I think they will. They go for a place where they can easily do the social distance. And if you talk about, Elvi talk about a hotel in Las Vegas, even with 600 or 700 people, it's still a lot of people together. And we have that's part of the news where we're into. We've seen a lot of information in hotels where somebody gets the virus, and then everybody has to stay for 2 weeks in that hotel, and that really scare people. So that really has to change. And then I think a lot of people go to self-catering, doing by RVs, campgrounds, or smaller hotels, small places where they have space, where they have they can walk around and have their own can really have their own social distance. I mean, that's by every product we are selling. It will be a key question.
Absolutely. Elvi, do you think you'll see any shift in if borders open and we get people driving down? Do you think that their travel pattern will change, or their destination, maybe a rural destination versus a more metro destination, or skirting the edges of a metro destination?
Yeah, I mean, big cities obviously have a lot more people, so some Canadians may decide they will want a little rural destination. Obviously traveling by car so they can feel safe in the cocoon of their own vehicle. I think shorter stays will be a lot more prevalent, people coming in and out, so vacations. You may even, see people speaking to their companies and saying, listen, I'll take a 2-week vacation, I'll work for 1 week, and then I will vacation the other week. This way, at least it's not getting on the aircraft as often. And so kind of do a dual vacation / work jaunt, and do something like that to try to mitigate the flying aspect of it. Like Wolfgang, I think, smaller hotels are going to be a lot more in vogue now, a lot less people, easier to social distance. You may also have, Airbnb is going to be a big question because, they're owned by individuals. How diligent are they going to be in cleaning their home? Once somebody comes out, checks out, another person comes in, you don't have the diligent cleaning aspect that a hotel would have, or a management company that like Hawaii or even in Florida, where you have these management companies that hire outside cleaning organizations to do thorough cleaning. When you're there, that the protocols will be in place, hopefully, feel more comfortable there. In an Airbnb, you don't know who was there before. What if they did have COVID and the owner didn't do a diligent job in cleaning properly? So, that's going to be a big question on the whole Airbnb side of the business. I know they're taking a big hit in this market for sure. And I think they're going to continue doing, having some difficulty in trying to keep afloat as well.
So I'm going to ask you, because I know it's about to come in. As soon as you said small hotels would be in a higher demand or possibly be in a higher demand, does that change some of your product? Because I know everyone on the phone right now is wondering if you have enough product in that particular category, and if not, how can they send you information? Is it something that you're looking more at the product line and going, hey, we need a little more here, here, and here? Are you contracting right now? Maybe let me change that and say, are you contracting right now?
Now we talk about it with our receptive tour operator, receptive clients about this, the idea of this product and the way we look to the product, and they are thinking about this as well. So if you have ideas, if I can get ideas, of course they are always welcome. But I don't believe that the let's say the flight drives with the itineraries with the big hotels, that will not be a success next year. I'm always sure about that. So it has to be small hotels, boutique hotels where the high quality with the cleaning is okay, with everything is okay, with nice cars, with not big cities, that kind of things. I think that are all important things for clients. And of course they can, when they are on the spot, they can decide to do something else. But in the beginning, that's what they want.
Wonderful. So what I heard from that was you're willing to look at some new product and open to people sending it to you. That's how I translated that in my sales role.
Yeah, you do it well.
What about you, Elvi? Are you looking for any new product, kind of thinking along that line?
We've got a lot of direct connects as well now with a lot of companies in most of our destinations. We're not really looking at contracting anything at the moment, because, a lot of it is relationships and, suppliers that we work with many, many years trying to support them first. They're suffering like everybody is. So, our aspect is, we definitely were looking for opportunities. And we're kind of now in a holding pattern to see some of these bigger chains, how they're going to deal with it. In the end, especially in Canada, when it comes to January, February, March, it's going to be minus 20 degrees with a lot of snow. Canadians are going to want sand, sea, and sun. So they're going to be going to the islands. They're going to be going to Mexico. They're going to be going to Cuba. They're going to Florida. That's going to continue. And it's how the various hotels are going to adapt to the health and safety measures and how they're going to, relay what they're doing to us so we can feed it to the consumer, to the travel agents on what they're doing. But yeah, we do also have another side of our business called Leisure, which specializes in villas, stays, some of these smaller in boutique hotels. So definitely we're putting a lot more push on there and that side of the business as well. There's another company that we were working prior to COVID to connecting, which had villa accommodations and residences globally. And that was obviously put on hold because of what's happened. But we already looking at this type of business prior to COVID happening because we realized that people wanted experiential travel. They wanted to have these boutique hotels prior to this. So this, I think, just kind of reinforces what we were already thinking prior to COVID and just kind of expediting it for sure.
Awesome. So Gabe has a question from Fort Lauderdale has a question that kind of reverts back to some of the safety measures that we were talking about and fees that might go along with that. Do you think there's any companies that are going to come out on top, or who's going to come out and win this battle of clean and safety, whether it's the small boutiques or some of the larger brands, what is a win for them? Who comes out on top of that? I'm asking you to look in a crystal ball. That's what I'm asking you to do right now.
Yeah.
But who comes out on top? Is it if the prices don't go up that much, or is it that they convey their message better? Is it not a price issue at all? Because as you mentioned, Wolfgang, people will pay to feel safe.
It's a matter of trust. I mean, if you trust something, organization, a hotel, if you have the feeling they're doing it right, I think that's very important in these times, these days. So if your the way you tell your story, if that's okay, that's authentic, then you have more chance, I think, than if you are doing the same as you do always, and say in the end say, okay, we clean a little extra.
I mean, I think authentic messaging is key right now. And speaking, kind of taking that a step further to our attendees on the phone, what kind of messaging are you looking for from them, from a destination level, from an attraction level? Is it just a clean and safe, or are you looking for?
No, it's important that they really that I have to, when I go to there to attraction or whatever, that I can still have my social distance, and not because of there is so it's better maybe to sell tickets in advance or whatever, that the number of people when I go to Disney, it's I think in the busy day there will be 50,000 people there. Now and now I think in the future it will be 15,000 or something like that. So that's if I'm sure that kind of things are arranged, then it gives me more trust to do that.
And what do you think, Elvi? Best way for our attendees here to get their messaging out? Is it through a DMO? Is it direct to you? What are you looking for from messaging to people?
Yeah, I mean, direct to me, obviously, with the partners that we currently work with is very important, that we could then, make sure that we relay it to the various parties of the consumer and the travel agents we work with. Social media obviously plays a big role in what people look at. The messaging is going to be super important. Communication is going to be super important on what they're doing, and being very diligent about that. And very clear and concise about what they're doing in the destination. Even if there's new developments going on, I mean, still that's very important. There's a lot of hotels that have taken this time to renovate. I have a number of them reached out to me already and said, Elvi, we're spending money, renovate. Those who have the cash, that's the thing too, that they're taking this time to make improvements to the property that were so needed. And so that's going to obviously bode well when things come back to normal. They've got new, fresh product in the marketplace, and then taking, extra steps that they're doing in the air conditioning side. How they're dealing with the health and safety on the air conditioning to minimize the germs that are being spread within the rooms. What new developments they're taking, around the pools, on golf courses that they may own, and the casinos, what they're doing in Vegas now, understanding, some of the changes that they're doing, through the slot machines, and cleaning the dice and the cards on a regular basis, and spacing people at the blackjack tables. Restricting or eliminating buffets completely, so that's going to be still important that communication comes to us so we understand and know and can share that information to the consumers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I think we'll be preparing for this conversation. When we talked yesterday, you mentioned too that sometimes it's hard to find the information that you're looking for. If a destination is open, if a state is open, if there's different regulations, across the board for what you're looking at, is that something that you would like to receive from the attendees here? Just kind of an update on their area.
Yep. Yeah, that's very important. There is no. It's hard for us to understand it because I read today that California will have a lockdown till somewhere in the end of July, beginning of August. I other places say, no, we are open, and there is so much different information we get. So it would be good if information is correct and information is on a regular basis. So, for example, every week inform us about the status of an area, and what's happening, and what the expectations are, and what the route is to reopen everything. So it gives us more an idea of how things are going, because now we only get the information of the moment, but we don't get any future expectations about things are going, and that's hard. I mean, even in Europe it's hard, but okay, but there we have a lot of governments who give, on the end they give a quite clear messages, and that makes it hard, but it makes it easy to understand.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, and I used to be a DMO, and when I was a DMO at Visit Florida or even at Visit Tampa Bay, you know, I always struggled with how much information I sent out or how frequently I sent it out. And I didn't want you to stop taking my emails when I was working with clients and operators. But it sounds like more information is good right now. You know,
yeah, on regular basis, and it has to be the kind of information, especially about the COVID, give the information in the same way every week, or something like that, or every 2 weeks. So that makes it logical, not make it something new every week, because then because you always compare it with the message before.
Certain format updates
Yeah.
on that, how things are working at a attraction, destination, hotel level, just kind of what's going on in the area. I think all of our partners have tried to put together the best information they can, and you know, not only on who's at the hotel to contact, but maybe add in, you know, what opening looks like in your area as well. So kind of on that line, talking about information that you need, let's talk about marketing for a minute, and what anyone on the call can do to help you market. How do we help get your message out and you get our message out in return? You know, what are you doing? Any joint marketing with partners right now, or any messaging? Elvi, you mentioned social media and how it's a great way to get information out. Is there anything going out from TravelBrands about programming in the future that your partner destinations can send out on their platform as well?
Yeah, I mean, we've put all our marketing on hold, as everybody else has. We've had a lot of plans in place, and everything was kind of put on hold. We decided it, and obviously a lot of our partners did as well. So what we did during this time is we had a product launch that we were supposed to do the end of March, and we were the first ones to cancel it because of COVID. And we decided, you know, let's do something different. So we actually did a virtual launch last week, last Thursday, and we were the first company in Canada to ever do something similar. And we had over 2,000 travel agents attend, and we had over 60 suppliers between hotels, chains, and tourism boards participate. And we figured, you know what, at the downtime, travel agents aren't working, they're not taking any bookings, hotels aren't doing a whole lot now anyway. So I mean, it was really, you know, opportune to do it. So we launched it, and it was a resounding success. I mean, there's a few people that I'm seeing now that were part of it. And that's how we got the message across. So travel agents were asking hotels and tourism boards what they're doing, what their plans are. So we really got the two parties together. And part of the platform was we gave a 10, 15 minute kind of a presentation on what we're doing as TravelBrands during this time and going forward to help travel agents make them more efficient and help some of our plans. So we shared that with the travel agent community on plans that we had. And then the hotels were sharing what their plans were with a lot of the travel agents going forward. So that was one of the small things that we did. And that could be a medium going forward that we may look at in the future. Now that, you know, like Travel Connect may or may not do a show because of obviously you're wondering how you can say social distancing. This platform showed that we could connect partners together in a forum that you could do it at the convenience of your home in your pajamas and, converse with hotels. So, that was something that we actually decided to do. But until we get some sense of when airlines going to fly, when markets are open, when hotels are opening, everything's pretty much has been, pretty much on a stop. Because we also are losing a lot of money. So we're just not, we don't have a lot to spend. Now we're trying to keep it for when things get back to normal.
Yep, we need to point. We need to point on the horizon. Sorry.
We can hear you. There's just a little bit of feedback, I think, in the mic.
Oh. Better now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. What we need is where we have to can work to. We need I call it the point on the horizon. Something that you understand what I mean? We have to know. We want to go. We have to know we need our goal, where we have to go. What is our the moment when we can start? That's very important. If we know that moment, then of course we can work to that.
Perfect. So I think one of the questions that I would have right off the bat, Elvi, for you, by the way, that's why he couldn't be on the webinar last week, is because of his virtual product launch. I think I might have heard you, I might have missed it. Are you doing it again? Is it an iteration that's going to live on, or is it recorded? Or
we are debating that. We are now going to be launching in the next month or so webinars with select partners. Some that we've always done well, and we normally, would do them anyway as part of a marketing plan to a lot of the suppliers. But we've chosen now to do them just as ad hoc. We'll have a schedule, and our current partners get them involved, so they would have a one-on-one with, as opposed to the virtual launch. We're going to do the webinars now for the next, month or so. But the virtual launch is something that we are looking at possibly doing, and maybe doing it on a select destination basis. So, we'll do it with Orlando launch and see if we can get as many Orlando suppliers involved. Maybe with Hawaii, maybe on the cruise side of the business, on the airline side of the business. So rather than open it up to multiple suppliers, narrow it down to just either a product or a destination, and do, and look at that type of model going forward, because you can get a lot of people. And I think in your reality, I think Zoom, and Teams have benefited greatly in their stocks and their valuation because of what's happened in the pandemic. So I think this is going to change a lot of how we may conduct business in the next 6 to 12, months. The new reality is through mediums like this. So we can take advantage of that as well and do that. So, yeah.
And these webinars are specifically to train your travel agent clients.
Correct.
And Wolfgang, are you looking at any training for your customers? Are you putting out any webinars, or I'm sure that any of the attendees on the call here would say, can we send you a video or a training on our destination to share with your clients or customers?
Yeah, we have them, and we use them now, or on the Dream Now and Travel Later campaign. We try to do something with that. We put a lot on social media with information for our clients. We put it on our newsletters with nice videos and that kind of stuff. And for our travel agency clients, it's very important that we are now helping them with rebooking their clients. I mean, that's if we can help them with that in a good way, that's the best way we work now. They don't really wait for all new things. What they have to do is to rebook all their summer clients, and they're really busy with that. And we try to help them with that. And that's and we are till today, we are successful with that. And I think that's the way we do. I think that's also a kind of marketing.
Absolutely, it is. So we have a couple of questions that have come in. And one is from Verity. Thank you for the question. And it talks specifically about some of the excursions that you may have in packages that you're selling. And specifically, it's traditional bus tours that people would go on. What do you think people are going to stay away from those, or are there any expectations that these tour providers, can create that might help them moving forward? Do your companies have any specific requests from these excursion type events that might be in some of your packages?
I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Oh, yeah. Shall I go first?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think that products are still interesting, but also for this products, it's still the same. Keep in the product has to be the social distance. So you need less people in the bus, more possibilities by when you stops, that kind of things. If you arrange that quite well, then those products are really interesting. But of course, it's they will be more expensive in that way, because it's not like putting 52 people in one bus and see what's happening, because I don't think that will work.
I think it's a challenge with all motor coach operators right now, trying to figure out how they roll a bus with half the people in it.
Yeah,
conversation. But Elvi, what do you have to say about excursions?
I agree with Wolfgang. It's the obviously social distancing. It's the health and safety precautions and protocols being put into place. I think people will still take tours. We don't sell a lot of tours per se as an organization, unless you get into the escorted tours to Asia and Africa and some of the area in Europe and so on. But I think that's a big question is, how are they going to do it? And, can they efficiently and, profitably run these operations with half of the people on board? And you can extend it to the airlines as well, saying, how are they going to fly an aircraft with half the people on board and still make money, provide, with the social distancing. So I think that's going to be a big part of it. And again, people may decide to do it on their own. They may do a lot of fly drives. When they fly to Europe, they may decide to go rent a car now and do it themselves, as opposed to jumping on a tour bus.
I think all of that remains to be seen. We still have a lot of information that we're collecting. But talking about doing it themselves, Floyd, thank you for your question, and glad that you're back on with us. Floyd has a question that is talking about health and safety standards. 90% of visitors, coming into the U.S. are fly drive. They're visiting more than one state, visiting multiple places. How does everyone on this call give you a unified message on health and safety standards? And Wolfgang, you touched on that a little bit, that you wanted, have a format and send me updates weekly on what's going on, so it's easy. But how do multiple states do that for you? Would you suggest them working regionally and more of a regional approach?
I think that's also something which for US, that's something that Brand USA has to do. They have to think of a format, and they have to think of a policy where they that the level of information and the standard, the minimum standard, they can guarantee for all their members. So they have to set up a standard, and that standard has to be everywhere. And if you are not as a member of Brand USA, or if you not can guarantee that standard, then you are out of the business for the Europeans, I think, and also for the Americans and Canadians.
I would, yes, absolutely. Brand is certainly sending the message out there for the whole of the U.S. I would think that also working through, regional CVBs and state tourist boards, and working together in a region to make sure that you have that same message going out would be super smart for all on the call to make sure that messaging is there.
I mean, one of the areas, Sherry, that we touched upon, earlier this week when we just had an informal chat is, from Canadians is, looking at the US, and, every state seems to have different guidelines on what they're doing on reopening. There's so much confusion. Part of the survey that had Canadians, they actually interviewed also, a lot of Americans as well. And, Canadians trusted their federal and their provincial governments about 70 to 80% of what they said, because they took the health guidelines more so than their own political one. And I'm not trying to get political here, but, they relied on health experts to determine when to open, when to close, and what they're going to be doing. So as Canadians traveling Canada, you have a very safe sense, or a good sense of, we've got it under control, say. So we know that if British Columbia has less cases, we know it's fine in how they're opening and closing. In the United States, the federal government is saying one thing. Governors, I believe, are being trusted more than the federal government, and not even between the states. So as a Canadian driving down, New York has been obviously very badly hit, but when they come out of this, we may be safe, because we know Cuomo has done a fairly good job on trying to keep a lid on everything and trying to manage through this pandemic. But then as you get into some other states, they may not have done a good job. They're opening now. You're seeing a lot of the demonstrations. People want to open up and so on. As a Canadian, I don't feel safe going to some of these areas, because I don't know, especially if the virus count is going up. So it's managing the information from various states on, whether they're open or closed, how they're dealing with the pandemic. And that's some of the anxiety as a Canadian traveling to the United States is, who do we trust?
Yep.
And I think that sums it up. It all comes down to trust and information. So communication, getting information out there, and consumer sentiment. How we can get our customers to trust and travel again. And I know Brand USA is working hard on that. I know US Travel is working hard on that. And everyone on this call is trying to do their best to get that out to everyone as well. Real quick, Gabe from Fort Lauderdale, Elvi, is the study you're referencing, is that a link you can share?
I believe so. I'd have to check with our one of my colleagues who sent it internally. I think it's public knowledge that I can send it, but let me check with her, and Gabe,
Wonderful.
I can definitely send it.
And you can send that to me. If it is a link you can share, we will send it out on the key takeaways in the follow-up email after this webinar, so we can get it out to everyone.
Perfect.
I told you guys yesterday that this call would go really quickly, and it looks like we have 2 minutes left. So I'm gonna wrap up with a couple of very softball questions for you. We've gone into a lot of detail about your company and health and safety and what everyone can do to help you. We work in the travel industry. Where do you want to go when you can travel again? Where's the first place you're going to go, Wolfgang?
I will go to Florida.
I live in that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like. I've been to several places, and I really like the States, and I like Canada. Really like to go there. People are nice. Most of the people. Yeah. No, but most of the people are nice and friendly. So but I like Florida because of the weather, and it's smooth, and I like to do that.
Good. So Elvi, you and I talked yesterday that going to the grocery store was a really great outing for us right now. But grocery store side, where are you going to go when you can travel again?
Well, the weather in Canada turns beautiful now soon. So we've got a cottage that my mother-in-law has been renting for many, many years. And we usually take a couple of weeks on vacation in summer to vacation in the cottage. So it's more like local. But I think it'll probably be a toss-up between either Hawaii. I love Hawaii. I've been going there many, many years for work. I'd probably Hawaii, although the idea of spending 10 hours with a mask on an airplane doesn't really excite me. So I'm going to have to kind of rethink that one. But that, or even the UK. My wife and I went to London and the Cotswolds last fall. We absolutely loved it. I've been to London many, many times, World Travel Market, and for work too over the years of buying. But she's never been, so I took her and we had a fabulous time. So I think we may go back to the UK and maybe Scotland and see that. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
So Wolfgang, you just made Stephanie from Fort Myers very happy. So that was an excellent answer.
I mean, yes, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I like to.
So we're out of time, but I want to get like final thoughts. Any final thoughts, Wolfgang, on what we can do to help you or company-wise, what you're looking at moving forward?
Yeah, it's yeah, what I said, special things, small things, unique things, unique products. It's always nice to have, and we are a specialist. We can use that. We know a lot from the United States, but as more we know, as more I understand, I don't not enough about the country. There's so much more to explore, and I like to see that.
All right, perfect. Elvi, any final thoughts?
Just, there's a lot of obviously anxiety, and I'm just hoping that a vaccine comes through quickly. I mean, travel is going to probably be the last segment of any business that's going to recuperate. I think restaurants will come around and some other in stores and so on. I think travel is the one that is the most precarious. I think that's going to take a while before it comes back to pre-COVID levels. We just have to all remain strong. We're all in this together. We're very, very small, unique. I think I keep saying that I think travel has so many factors to it that can affect it, but it also brings people together. People travel because they want to travel to see friends and family, to experience some new in the world, and that's not going to change. I think this is just a setback. I think this is going to make the industry a lot more resilient. We're going to, forced to make some difficult decisions in hotels and airlines and in our own organization as well. When we get out of this, we're not going to look like the same company we were prior to it, unfortunately. But there's also very good about that. There's going to be a lot of efficiencies, I think, in the future. And I think travel will be safer, in the future. And I think we're all in it together. We all have a vested interest in this. We are doing it because we love it. It's part of our blood. And I think we'll get together. And we want to support hotels, in Florida, in Europe, and wherever around the world, and airlines and so on. So I think we'll get through this for sure. Just that we have to remain strong and resilient and work together.
Absolutely. We're definitely stronger together. So tourism strong. We're going to get through it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Elvi. Thank you, Wolfgang, for taking the time to be with us today and sharing some insights. We really appreciate it. And all of the attendees, thank you so much for continuing to log on and listen to us talk and stay connected with each other and with our fabulous clients that have been on the panel today. Next week, we're taking a little change. We've talked about Brand USA. We've talked about marketing with operators. So next week, log on because Jackie Innes, VP of Global Trade for Brand USA, is going to be with us along with Miles Partnership and Paul Winkle and kind of talking a little bit more about when we recover, how to work better with your tour operator client and how to market better with your tour operator client. So we'll have a good conversation there of how we start that recovery and marketing process next week. So again, thank you all for being here. Thanks for continuing to tune in. And Elvi and Wolfgang, really, we all appreciate from the supplier side you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks, Sherry, for reaching out.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.